Alright, guys, welcome back to the channel, and I gotta say today's video is absolutely packed with some crazy NFL news that could change the entire landscape of the league. You won't want to miss this one, especially if you're a fan of the Dallas Cowboys, because the rumor mill is churning, and it's bringing up some serious potential moves for the team. The latest buzz? Baker Mayfield. Yes, Baker Mayfield could be on his way to the Dallas Cowboys. If you're shaking your head in disbelief, trust me, you're not alone. But let's take a step back and really dig into this, because while it may seem wild on the surface, there's actually a lot to unpack here. What does this mean for the Cowboys, for Dak Prescott, and for Mayfield himself? Stick around because by the end of this video, you'll have all the details you need to understand why this could be a game-changing move for Dallas. Let's start with the man of the hour, Baker Mayfield. If you've followed the NFL closely over the past few years, you know that Mayfield has been one of the most polarizing quarterbacks in the league. His career path has been anything but smooth, but there's no denying his talent. He was drafted as the 1 overall pick in 2018 by the Cleveland Browns, a historic moment for a team that had long been struggling at the quarterback position. Right out of the gate, Baker made a splash with his confidence and strong rookie season, breaking a few records along the way. The Browns, after years of dysfunction, thought they'd finally found their franchise QB. But, and here's where it gets interesting, Baker's journey has had more twists than a roller coaster. While he showed flashes of brilliance early in his career, things didn't exactly go as planned in Cleveland. There were injuries, inconsistencies, and a coaching carousel that made it difficult for him to truly find his rhythm. As a result, the Browns traded him away in favor of another quarterback, and Mayfield found himself landing with the Carolina Panthers. It wasn't much better there, and after a lackluster performance, Baker was eventually released by the Panthers and went on to join the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. In Tampa Bay, the hope was that Baker could revive his career, but it was clear that his time with the Bucs wasn't going to be the redemption story many hoped for. And now, as of the 2025 NFL season, here we are, discussing whether he could end up with the Dallas Cowboys. You have to admit, the idea of Baker in Dallas, of all places, seems pretty insane when you think about it. But let's not forget that Mayfield is still in his mid-20s, and there's plenty of time for him to turn things around. He still has that competitive fire, that swagger, and that chip on his shoulder. Could Dallas be the team to give him that opportunity to prove himself once again? Now, let's shift our focus to the team that's at the center of this storm, the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys are one of the most storied franchises in NFL history, and with a roster that's loaded with talent, they're always seen as Super Bowl contenders. Their defense is among the best in the league, with stars like Micah Parsons leading the charge. On offense, the Cowboys have one of the most exciting skill position groups, including CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, and Tony Pollard. With all of this talent, you'd think the Cowboys would be one of the best teams in the league year in and year out, but here's the problem, they're stuck in this weird cycle of good, but not great. They make the playoffs, sure, but they've struggled to get over the hump and actually contend for a Super Bowl. The main sticking point? Dak Prescott. Prescott is a solid quarterback, no doubt about it. He's put up impressive numbers, has shown leadership, and he's had some amazing moments throughout his career. But when it comes to the postseason, that's where the Cowboys have faltered. Dak has had some great regular season performances, but when the lights are brightest, the Cowboys have struggled in big games. That inconsistency has led to questions about whether Dak is really the guy to lead the Cowboys to the promised land. It's not that Dak is terrible, it's that, at times, he just hasn't been able to put it all together when it matters most. Which brings us to the idea of Baker Mayfield coming in to compete with Dak Prescott. Now, I know what you're thinking, why would the Cowboys want to replace Dak with Baker Mayfield? Well, hear me out. The Cowboys have a ton of talent across the board. With a defense as good as theirs and offensive playmakers all around, the quarterback position is really the only piece left that could push them over the edge. Dak Prescott has had his fair share of injuries and struggles in key moments, and bringing in someone like Baker Mayfield could serve as a wake-up call. Mayfield would be coming in with a chip on his shoulder, looking to prove everyone wrong, and let's be real, that kind of attitude might be just what the Cowboys need. Maybe competition at the quarterback position is exactly what Doc needs to push him to his fullest potential. Or maybe, just maybe, Mayfield could step in and provide a new spark for this offense. And let's be clear, we're not just talking about a simple backup role here. The Cowboys could absolutely bring in Mayfield as a backup to Dak Prescott initially, but in the NFL, things change fast. Injuries happen, struggles happen, and if Dak Prescott falters or gets hurt, Mayfield could find himself in a position to step in and take over the starting role. The beauty of this potential situation is that both quarterbacks would be highly motivated to perform, knowing that they're competing for that starting job. Imagine the pressure and intensity that would bring to training camp and the regular season. Mayfield is a former 1 overall pick, and he still has something to prove. Dak Prescott is a multi-million-dollar franchise quarterback with a lot to lose if he doesn't deliver a deep playoff run soon. That pressure could push both quarterbacks to new heights. But what would Mayfield bring to the Cowboys' offense? First of all, he's a quarterback with a big arm who's capable of making every throw. The Cowboys' offense is built around spreading the ball out, and with playmakers like CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, and Tony Pollard, Mayfield would have all the weapons he needs to succeed. His ability to throw deep and create big plays would fit perfectly with the Cowboys' offensive scheme, and with a solid offensive line to protect him, he could potentially thrive in this system. However, we can't ignore the fact that Baker Mayfield can also be a bit of a gunslinger. He takes risks, which is a double-edged sword. On one hand, it can lead to big-time plays and highlight reel moments, but on the other hand, it can lead to mistakes, turnovers, and poor decision-making in clutch situations. If he does come to Dallas, the big question will be whether he can keep those mistakes under control while maximizing the potential of the offense. But we can't forget about the bigger picture. What does this mean for Dak Prescott's future? Prescott has been with the Cowboys for years and is signed to a lucrative contract. The Cowboys have committed a lot of money to him, so it's unlikely that they'll just move on from Doc at the drop of a hat. However, if Doc struggles again this season, or if he just can't get the Cowboys over the playoff hump, the front office might start looking elsewhere for the future. Bringing in Baker Mayfield could be the Cowboys' way of keeping Doc on his toes and making sure he doesn't get too comfortable. Or, it could be a long-term plan to eventually transition to Mayfield as the starter. While that's unlikely in the short term, it's definitely a possibility if the Cowboys think they could be getting more out of their offense with a fresh face at quarterback. And of course, the most important question in all of this is, what does this move mean for the Cowboys' Super Bowl aspirations? As I said before, the Cowboys are loaded with talent, and the team's defense is championship caliber. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to the quarterback position. If Doc can finally take the next step and perform in the postseason, the Cowboys could be poised for a deep playoff run. But if he falters again, bringing in Mayfield as a potential starter could be the spark the team needs to push forward and challenge for a Super Bowl. The window is open for the Cowboys, and if they get the quarterback position right, this team could go all the way. So, what do you think? Could Baker Mayfield actually be the missing piece for the Cowboys, or should they stick with Dak Prescott as their leader? Let me know in the comments below. I want to hear your thoughts on this potential move and what it could mean for both the Cowboys and the NFL as a whole. Don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoyed this video, and be sure to subscribe for all the latest NFL updates and rumors. Until next time, this is your go-to source for all things football, and as always, go Cowboys!